Hey, what's up, guys? This is Chuck, and this is the next garden tour for the season. It's been a very busy, hot week. Last week we had record temperatures. Literally, it was probably 100 every single day, and it was a war in the garden, in all of the gardens to water them and keep things growing, keep them happy, not letting them stress so they go to seed like they can if like for the lettuces and the brassicas, things like that that are not very heat tolerant. For the other things that are heat tolerant, they just went crazy. Lots of new growth. Thankfully, no diseases or pest problems so far that I've seen. And then the last 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, we've had pouring rain, which was a relief for me from being able to take a break from watering. It's been a crazy time getting the summer going. It took a while for the summer to start. It wasn't getting too hot, and it kind of everything was going slow. And so now I'm excited that the heat is on, the water's on, and everything is taking off as as good as to be expected. So let's get started with this next tour. All right, so this is the actual garden that we did the how to plant tomato videos, and as you can see, it is doing very well. I have 4 tomatoes here on a trellis, and I'm planning to do another video this week to talk about how I prune them and maintain them on the trellis so you can have a better idea. But definitely they're ready to get that care. You don't want the leaves touching the dirt, and you want there to be enough airflow in between the plants. And so as you can see, they need some attention. I did some mixed salad greens here on the edge, all the way up and down, different varieties. This one's just a mixed salad variety, and this one is a spicy. So they're both doing really well. Probably can do some harvesting very soon. There's some basil that I grew from seed right here coming up. These flowers are doing amazing in this pot. And then my 5 basil pot here is doing awesome. All of the basils have germinated. So there's Genovese basil, cinnamon basil, purple ruffle basil, lime basil, and then the African basil. It smells amazing and it looks gorgeous. That purple ruffle basil is beautiful. And then this is a licorice basil I planted from seed, just coming up. But as you can see, the tomatoes are doing very well. They have lots of flowers coming on them, and they're ready for some attention. I wanted to show you this one thing real quick, is that one of the basils that I planted from seed, because I love basil and I just throw them in anyway. It's a variegated one. It's so beautiful. I can't tell you the variety of it because I don't remember, and I'm smelling it and it's different. I have to go back and look at what I planted, but I'm excited to see what happens with that one the most out of this one. All right, let's move on. Here's the next garden, and this one is kind of sad. This one wasn't on my very first tour. This one is actually my personal garden, which I'm like everything that's gonna be grown in this plot is gonna be for my house, for my own use, for whatever I want. I'm gonna grow whatever I want for me, and as you can see, there's not anything in here except things that shouldn't be. I've had a hard time getting things planted in this plot this year, and I'm the only one who's gonna pay for that at the end, because once I get it established, it's gonna be amazing. And then of course the growing season is not gonna last forever. And so, but I wanted to show you this, that yes, it's the middle of June, a little bit after the middle of June, and I don't have my own garden planted yet. I have plans and I have plants. It's just a lot of work, and I am focusing on the other gardens right now. Those are the market gardens, and so those are the ones that have more of a demand than this one for myself. But at the same time, there are things that I'm growing, that I'm planning to grow in this plot, that I'm not gonna grow for market. And so I'm excited to try those new things. But I just wanted to show you this quick spot right here, because I'm hoping the next time you see it, it'll be planted, and then that way I can brag about how much I got accomplished. All right, let's move on. Here we are at the next garden, and as you can see, I have lots of jalapenos coming in. They're getting a pretty good size. There's this one firming up. A lot more under here. You can see them. I haven't harvested any yet. But I'm planning to do so soon. And then around here I planted a different variety of jalapenos than those. They're a larger variety called Craig's Grande. So they produce larger size jalapenos on this section right here on the end. And then here I finally was able to plant my serrano peppers. So from this side up to the jalapenos, all the way to the end of the bed is all of the serrano peppers. They're really doing well. They're perking up. They're taking off, which is really awesome. And then this block right here, I'm still working on, and these are the Anaheim peppers. So the taller plants, longer chilies. I only have about half of them planted. I still need to fill in this other half. And so I'm just waiting for my peppers to harden off so I can get them in the ground. This bed is super sunny and super hot, and so it's really important that when they get in here, that they're ready to go. And then this last section from here to the end, these pots will be out of here, and this whole section is going to be filled with poblano peppers or ancho chile. It's the same pepper, but it just changes names when they're dry, used dry or fresh. But that's the pepper that you use to make chile rellenos and all kinds of different things. And then these pots, they're gonna go to market. They're mixed with nasturtiums, marigolds, some bachelor buttons in this pot. They're just opening up, looking really gorgeous, really beautiful. And of course, lights that I took from my mama's house. Let's go look over here on this side. The pansies are looking gorgeous as well. You see them in there. This side is my trellis with my different varieties of cucumbers, my Mexican sunflower right here in the front, and then lettuce. So I just harvested a good chunk of lettuce. So from here all the way to the end, I harvested all of that. And then you could see I did that, I think Friday night. It's already growing back, all this new growth. You can see just a couple of days, it's already coming back. And then on the ends, the cucumbers are taking off. On this side, I believe is the White Wonder cucumber. This side is the Market More 76 cucumber, which is the dark green one that you peel and put in salads. It's like really common. Over here is a pickling cucumber. So these on this end. Here's a bunch of radish. So in that missing spot, I harvested a bunch of radish last week as well. Here, still have some to harvest. As you can see, they're also doing very well, getting very plump. Looking really, really good. I've been eating lots of radish. They're very tasty. And on this end of these are the yard-long cucumber, Armenian yard-long cucumber. So they get a yard long. They're white, and they have a very similar taste to the Market More cucumber. You can use them to make pickles, eat them fresh. They're considered a melon because of their size, but they're delicious. And then another variety of lettuce that's looking really good here. I haven't harvested any of that yet. This one here at the end is a variety of cucumber that's an Indian variety, and so that's coming along. And as you can see with this, I need to, so it's getting so long, and it has a I forgot what it's called, tentacle, I don't know, we'll just call it a grabby thing for now. I'm trying to reach out and grab something. So of course I don't want it to come out off the bed and wander around. So I need to figure out how to get it onto this trellis so that they grow up on the trellis. And the purpose of that is to keep them with lots of airflow, to keep down the powdery mildew disease that normally hits cucumbers. Also, it will shade the center to prevent my lettuces from going to seed. All of the radish growth that I'll continue to do all season long will also continue to thrive in the shade. And then the scent of the radish keeps away the vine borers and other types of pests that like to target the cucumber plants. So all of this is set up with intention. It has a purpose, it's functional, and then it's just beautiful. So I'm excited to see how far these have grown since the last video, and how they'll look in the next. That Mexican sunflower right there, it's really bright red. I've never seen one in real life before, just pictures. So I'm also excited to see how that turns out as well. Let's go to the next one. All right, we're at the next garden, and there are lots of things happening here, and then not so much. So this is a trellis that I and my family helped put up together, and I wanted to grow lots of melons and squash on this trellis. I like that it's not just straight up, it's more of a slant, unlike some other styles. And here you can see that I have some delicata squash, some buttercup squash, butternut squash, at different areas along the bottom of the trellis, all looking very well. Delicata squash is one of my favorite squashes. I love all squashes. But if you don't know delicata, it's like a green and white tan squash. It tastes amazing. The only way I can describe it is it tastes like dipping a sweet potato into turkey gravy. Like, that's the flavor you get from a delicata squash. And there's so many ways to cook it that you can go sweet or savory from there. It's amazing. There's some chives, companion planting there. And here in this trench, I put different varieties of okra on each side. I put the seeds in. This side had heavy hitter okra, and I think there's like lots of pest problems. There's only a couple of plants left. I sowed them very heavily. This is the regular Clemson spineless, and you could see there's a whole stench of them that didn't come up at all. And then just the block right here that does have pest damage. On the sides over here, I'm gonna put some other companion plants. I'm gonna put some eggplant along this edge, and then sweet peppers, between the trellis going that way. So it'll be sweet peppers, okra, the trench, okra, eggplant. That's a giant horseradish I came back from last season, and I'm figuring out what I'm doing with that. This is these are some trays that I started because I wanted to have some backups. So I have tons of different squashes in here, some more delicatas, butternut spaghetti, buttercup, pumpkins and cantaloupe. I have a Japanese squash that came up. It's called kabocha. So I'm probably gonna grow that because in the market garden, everybody has the same thing sometimes, so it's really beneficial for me to have something different to offer. Some other plants that I'm gonna take to market once they start blooming. I figured out what this is called. It's called purple sage. It's used for ceremonial purposes. It's also very edible. It's beautiful. It smells so amazing. It has a similar scent to the sage that I use in the candles that I make. These are borage plants growing, coming back. They're all volunteers. More zucchini and cucumber in those trays there. On this side of the trellis, I planted some melons, and none of them have come up. So I obviously have some weeding to do here and some more planting. I'm probably gonna put some of the zucchini plants along here because I planted seeds and nothing has come up, and I don't know if the borage has inhibited any of that growth. I know borage is a good companion plant. I'm not sure how it does with squash. And so I'm probably gonna transplant my cantaloupe that I have here. I did try to sprout some Kajari melons. It's a sweet melon that's like from India, and I wanted to grow those as well. But this garden needs some attention, and definitely we'll get some this week. And here we are at another garden. And as you can see, the weeds that I took out from here all the way to that tall grass over there are all coming back. And I haven't done much with this plot yet. I got some new varieties of tomatoes in here that were given to me. This still serves as a holding place for my market plants, and which are all looking amazing and doing very well. I just wish I had more time to plant them, and this is my goal this week. So the time is coming. It's just coming. It's coming. These are some fresh chives that I started from seed. A lot of people were asking for chives, so I feel like it's a smart thing when people are asking for things to listen and answer. So far that has worked out for me with lots of different varieties of plants. There is another cattle panel that I'm gonna put in this garden. It's the 16-foot one that I have plans for, with some T-posts. I'm gonna do some squash and melons in this garden, and probably lots of tomatoes and probably a ton of peppers. I'm gonna do varieties in this garden that are different than the varieties of plants that I sold at market, and also that'll be unique enough that other vendors at the markets won't have the same varieties. So that's where my thought process is going with that, is that we're not all selling the same thing, and also we don't produce in the same way either. I do a lot of planting with purpose and intention. And I know not everyone gardens that way, but like anything else, when it's homemade and it comes from your hands, you can taste the difference. So you can see the difference, you can taste the difference, and lots of people have come back to get more plants. And sometimes they come back just to tell me how well they're doing. And it's really an awesome community of people who are so passionate and who are willing to invest in me and my passion and support that. So I'm just so grateful for that. But this has been a perfect holding place for my plants, given the situation and the space that I have and the spaces that I don't have. And this works really well for what I needed to work for. And I have some other pots that my super sister and I put together to sell. All right, let's move on. So we're almost done with the tour. This is the one that I told you about, that having the stuff down with the steps and things like that. I haven't planned any additional things since the last tour because it has been so hot and it has just been a war keeping things alive, keeping them from going to seed. It's been 100 every day, and so it's been really a thing to, you miss a day and it's done. So I still have these two different tomatoes right here, the black prim and the black cherry, and then I have these pots that are from market. This will be filled up with tomatoes hopefully this week. I'm growing tons of different varieties that are unique, so that's the name for what I'm doing at the market. That way I'm not selling everything that everybody else has, but I'm selling something different that they don't, and both that they're not growing. These are the white marigolds. I planted them from seed, and so they're coming right now. Some more over there and some basils. And this is the view of the garden. A really awesome mural. And here we are at City Lights. This is the last of the tour. So let's wrap it up. This is my plot. I told you before, my first love, where I first started doing community gardening. This year I grew a bunch of different varieties of garlic in here. I recently harvested the majority of the scapes. As you can see, this one wasn't as big when I was harvesting. There's some more coming in, and I'm sure there's more that I saw that were coming that I didn't finish harvesting just because I wanted to let them continue to grow before I harvest them. You can see a bunch there. This is a volunteer cilantro that came back from last year. I always like to leave volunteer plants to continue to grow. My favorite flower in the garden is always geraniums. And they're traveling geraniums because they go with me to the markets whenever I do the farmers markets. Here is the bed that has some spinach that's going to seed, and kale. I harvested a bunch of kale for the market this last weekend, and some lettuces that were all right here, different varieties. Lots of these little gem lettuces. They were a big hit. Everyone really liked them. I didn't harvest all of them, so I'll continue to take care of them, and then definitely gonna be planting more to fill up this space and keep that going. Here's all the carrots. They're doing amazing. So this cabbage in here is bouncing back as well. There's still some water hanging out in the leaf right there. So it looks like this carrot is actually going to seed, which is weird because usually they're biannual plants, meaning that they go to seed on the second year, not the first. So, but it's been so hot. It's been 100 degrees literally every day this last week, and I've been watering every day, sometimes twice a day, just to keep things going. But everything else looks really healthy. This isn't a bad thing. This just means that this plant isn't gonna make it, and so it's gonna make seeds. Which all of these plants could have been doing that if I didn't keep up with the watering and keep them healthy in that way. There's a bunch of oregano that comes back every year right there at the edge of that. Some hyssop here that came back from last year. One of my favorite herbs. And then it's seeded, so there's some new growth going on down here. I put some nasturtiums in here for companion planting as well with other herbs. There's thyme, some mint, all growing underneath the village of broccoli. You can see how gorgeous this broccoli is. It's still continuing to grow. The leaves are gorgeous. There's not any holes or pest problems or disease that you could see so far, which means that the companion planting and the aromatic herbs are keeping away the cabbage moth that usually lays its eggs, and then the worms that hatch are usually what makes all of the holes in the brassicas or the cabbage family crops. So lots of amazing growth. The leaves to these broccolis are actually edible, and it's really good for you. It has minerals and vitamins and nutrients that other greens do not. So it's always a good thing to mix up your diet and eat different varieties of leafy greens. It looks like the oregano in here is gonna flower. I put another bush of oregano in here just for companion, which is fine. And then I planted some more nasturtiums in there. This is a weed. Some more hyssop right here. Some more mint, and then the onion. It's doing awesome. It's open since the last time you've seen it. Let me stop it. It's not blurry, but it just, because it's fuzzy. This garden has really come a long way. There's a lot of solar lights that turn on at night. And so it really lives up to its name, City Lights, which I really love. Over here are some flowers that I planted. These are for market. They just different varieties of flowers from seed. And I was gonna start them inside, but then the hardening off process takes even more time. So I just decided to do it all outside. And these are just some random sunflowers that I saved and I'm thinking about taking to market. I'm not sure if anyone will buy them, but there's only one way to find out. It looks like there's a flower coming right there. And then of course, my favorite, lavender. I don't love all lavender, just this one. All right, so that's the end of the tour for the second tour that I'm doing, and I showed you a lot more than I did before. And there's a lot that still was undone. And at first I was kind of embarrassed by it, but it literally has been a war, and I've been saying this 100 degrees every single day is not a normal thing here in Denver where I live. And so having to water things constantly and keep them alive and keep them growing has been the battle for those temperatures. And then also, it's not, plants don't usually like to be planted or messed with or pruned during that heat as well. And so the focus has been keeping things alive and watered well for during that time. But thanks for stopping by.